Ready or not, Fanatics is going to be the NHL's new jersey manufacturer for the 2024 season into the near future.
You are Locked On Oilers, your daily podcast on the Edmonton Oilers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Thursday edition of Locked On Oilers. I'm your host, Nick Zararis. I want to thank everybody who makes Locked On Oilers their first listen of the day. Locked On Oilers, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. And today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Game time. So today's episode, we're going to take a foray. We're going to go down the road on one of my favorite subjects. I am an avid jersey collector. Anybody who's familiar with my content knows that I generally dress the background of the set with the jersey pertinent to the content I'm doing that given day. The reason there are Ranger jerseys in the spots that my McDavid jerseys usually are is it's the team I have the most jerseys from, so I can show you the differences between the various manufacturers. We're going to go through the history of the jersey manufacturers in that first segment. In the second segment, we're going to talk about the different tiers of jersey that each manufacturer has. And then we're going to talk about the Fanatics models that are out there that I saw at Fanatics Fest last week. We're going to talk about what Fanatics as a manufacturer means, what the state of sports merchandise in general is. So without further ado, jerseys are a relatively, I don't want to call it new revenue stream because we've all seen those ads for the NFL jerseys that were in the Macy's and the Sears catalog 40, 50 years ago, where you could get the jersey, you could customize the number, whatever. But as far as big business, as far as a significant revenue stream, something that's important to teams, to leagues, merchandise for sports has exploded in the last 20 to 30 years. The proliferation of credit and allowing people to buy stuff they don't necessarily need but want and justifying it as this will make me happy. Stuff like jerseys, sneakers, stuff that really, it doesn't help you accumulate wealth. It doesn't have an investment value of with time it'll become more valuable. These are purely things to make us happy. And there is nothing wrong. I have way too many jerseys because they make me happy. But the proliferation of jerseys, of hats, of sports merchandise in general, that commercialization of goods, of intellectual property, it really blossomed and ballooned, exploded, whatever word you want to use, over the last 20 to 30 years. So it depends on the league. Some leagues have been a lot more uniform in their progress and their changes in manufacturers. But the way you should think about it is this. In the hockey world, the modern jersey manufacturing cycle starts in 2006 after that lockout. There is one final season under the old way. The old way, which goes from early 2000s till 2006, is the last season. It's Coho and CCM. I didn't know this until today when I started doing the research. So Coho, they were in charge of the dark and the third jerseys. CCM was only white jerseys. So in the second segment, when I hold up one of my Ranger jerseys and you see a CCM logo on a dark colored Ranger jersey, that tells you, number one, somebody put the jersey together retroactively, that they got the nameplate, the branding. Other than the physical jersey and the logo across the chest, everything else was put on after the fact. It wasn't bought that way at a store. It was assembled by a manufacturer, a hobbyist, or a hobby shop to sell secondhand, whether it be on eBay. I got this one on eBay. I don't know where this jersey originated from, is the point. But when I hold it up, that'll be the justification for that. After CCM, after Coho, it goes to Reebok. Reebok has a 10-year window from 2007 to 2017. They have 2 tiers of jersey, 3 technically, but the on-ice jersey that the players wore is different. I do have one of those when we do the visual comparisons. I will be grabbing an on-ice jersey to show you the differences between that, the $230 one, the on-ice one, and then the $180 one. Because Reebok, for all of the warts in this process, I will say the jersey manufacturer that I personally liked the most was Reebok, because it had different price points. You could buy the on-ice jersey at the end of the season from the team or from a third party. It had the on-ice replica, which was retailed for somewhere between $230 and $250, depending on the place you got it from, whether it was hand-stitched at the shop, where hobby shops, it's going to be a little bit more expensive because their master tailor is going to put it together by hand, as opposed to some of the other more specialized places like Cool Hockey, or I don't even know if Aesthetics still exists, but it did back in the day when Reebok was still selling jerseys. They had that tier, and then they had the Premier jersey, which was, some had the nameplates ironed on, some had them stitched on. The numbers were generally ironed on, the logos were generally ironed on, but they didn't feel as flimsy as the Fanatics jerseys that have come into circulation over the last handful of years. And then Fanatics and Adidas took over in 2017. Fanatics is in a weird spot because they're both a manufacturer and a distributor and a licensee, and they pay for other brands to license their jerseys. That's why the baseball jerseys, even though Fanatics makes them for Major League Baseball, they still have the Nike logos on them because Fanatics technically licenses the Nike IP to distribute it and sell it all in one place. So Nike doesn't actually have to do the manufacturing anymore. They just make money on the licensing. And now going forward, this will be the first season of Fanatics as the jersey manufacturer. And this is the first time Fanatics has ever been the branded on playing surface distributor of jerseys. And I said it before, and I'll repeat it again. Fanatics is making the jerseys that are in Major League Baseball right now. Fanatics is making the on-field NFL jerseys, if I remember correctly. The difference is the NHL is going to be the first league that has the branded Fanatics logo on the jersey, where you would see an Adidas tag, a Coho tag, a CCM tag, a Reebok tag. Those jerseys are now going to have that little Fanatics F that is omnipresent in the sports merchandise space. And it's kind of an all-encompassing entity because it also has legacy brands like Mitchell and Ness and New Era under their umbrella. It has the rights. It is the official clubhouse shop of the 4 major sports leagues, WWE, NASCAR, most college schools. Fanatics has a stranglehold on the marketplace of sports merchandise right now, and it has its upsides in that merchandise is a lot easier to find. It's a lot easier to come across. The problem is that with trying to wear so many hats, that expression, the jack of all trades, master of none, that's kind of the issue Fanatics has right now, because they're making jerseys, they're making hats, they're making t-shirts, they're making tumblers, they're making mugs, they're making art, they're making Topps baseball cards, they are making varsity jackets. And instead of everything being specialized by people who really know what they're doing, it is one company that has everything all under one umbrella. We're all aware some of the really funny mistakes that have come that Fanatics has mailed to people, where it'll be the right player on the back, but it'll be a different logo on the front, and the jersey won't be right. The numbers will be crooked. The jersey will be outright missing something or blank on certain parts where they're supposed to be a part of the jersey. So we're going to take a quick break here on Locked On Oilers, where we've got your team covered every day. We're going to go through the various tiers of jersey coming up next, Locked On Oilers. Summer might be winding down, but that doesn't mean you can't still get to a concert or a baseball game before all is said and done. The only place I buy and sell tickets to go to games, to go to shows, over from our friends at Gametime, featuring some of the best tools in the ticket buying experience. Things like all-in pricing, where you toggle the feature on, searching for tickets, and there are no surprise fees at checkouts. The seat view, where you get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. If you're going to a concert, you want to know what the stage layout looks like. If you're going to a baseball game, you want to be able to tell balls and strikes, get a good look at home plate. The lowest price guarantee, or Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference, and Gametime ticket coverage, where your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime. Thank you to everyone who's hanging out on this Thursday edition of Locked On Oilers. Thank you for making it your first listen of the day. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On NHL podcast. Locked On NHL provides you with a national perspective on all things NHL each and every day, with national experts and local insight on every team in the league. Available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Shameless plug, Hunter Hodes and I ranked the top 10 wingers in the NHL today. No Zach Hyman, unfortunately. No Jeff Skinner. Not a big surprise that we both had Nikita Kucherov first on our lists, but definitely worth the time for some interesting hockey conversation. Okay, it's time for the props. As every prop comic likes to say, I'm not a prop comic, but I'm gonna walk you through the evolution of these jerseys. So, excuse me as I reach over here. This is a CCM jersey. You heard me say in the first segment, this is supposed to be Coho. You look here on the tag up here. This is supposed to be a Coho jersey. That tells me that this nameplate, this number kit, the CCM, those were all put on retroactively by someone at a hobby shop. The jersey is authentic. It's got the right tags. It's got the made in Canada. The jersey itself, this was blank. It had this on the front. It had the shoulder crests, but there were no numbers, and it was a blank. Somebody took the time to put the stitched on numbers. You can see the numbers are stitched on there. They're not heat pressed. The stitch, the threading, that's what holds it together. That's what makes this jersey a little bit better. The idea and the reason the jerseys with the stitch lettering and the stitch numbering are more expensive is that if you put them through the wash, they're going to hold up better than jerseys with iron-on numbers. So this is pre-2007. This jersey, the Rangers wore this jersey in the late 90s up till 2006. Then Reebok didn't put a third jersey into circulation for a few years. The Rangers' first third jersey, which I do have behind me right there, that's a Reebok third jersey. We're going to go there in a minute. But this is the first wave, the CCM, the Reebok. Before this, everybody was able to do their own thing. This was the last wave of the hockey company, where it was CCM and Coho. Coho and CCM made the dark jerseys, and CCM made the light jerseys, and Coho made the dark jerseys. This is supposed to be a Coho, but this jersey was put together after the fact by somebody who was trying to make more money on this jersey. You buy the number kit and the letter kit separately, you put it on a blank jersey, you're able to sell it for a lot more than a blank. You can find a blank Coho, a blank CCM, $50-$60 on eBay with a little bit of diligence, and then you find the number kit. You probably got to buy the number kit from a hobby shop, to be honest with you, but it does look a lot better. This jersey has aged very well. This jersey, the base of the jersey is at least 15 years old. The patches are still on in good shape. There's no fraying on the Liberty patch on the front. So that's why this is so expensive. Next up, we go to the Reebok Premier jersey. So this is a well put together Reebok Premier jersey. What I mean by that, the nameplate is stitched on. The letters are all on a patch, but the letters are stitched onto the patch, and the patch is stitched onto the jersey. I'm going to show you on that one behind me what a Reebok 2.0 jersey looks like, where the letters are individually stitched on as opposed to this. This still looks good, but it doesn't look as good as that. Notable things about this particular iteration of the Premier jersey. So if there were branding on the inside collar, the third jerseys have them. I'm going to show you on that one behind me. There's branding that goes on the third jersey, on the collar, on some of them. And this doesn't have it because it is a Premier jersey. So the tiers were Premier, Edge, On Ice. And the On Ice jersey, which I'll show you in a minute, also has different features about it. So on the Reebok Premier, there's a size tag on the front. It's supposed to have an edging, There's supposed to be a perforation here on the side of the jersey. It's not for any reason other than the way it looks, but there's supposed to be a perforation here, and that's one of the ways you can tell a real versus a fake jersey. The other way, on a Reebok Premier, there is no fight strap. On a real jersey that is the Reebok Premier, there isn't going to be a fight strap. So that is the Reebok Premier. Next, I'm going to show you a Reebok Edge. So this is a replica of the On Ice jersey. And I know this is confusing. There are a lot of tiers in the Reebok conversation, but Premier, Edge 1.0. This is an Edge 2.0, but there was Edge 1.0, 2.0. This is an Edge 2.0. The way you can tell this is real, number one, it's got the green collar on the tag. That is verification that it is the Reebok Edge program. That means this one is a replica of the on ice jersey. Number two, you can see it. The letters on the front are stitched on. They're a little bit smaller than the ones on that one. You look at the back. Like I said, the letters on the edge are stitched on to the back. They are not on a plate stitched on. The numbers, as you can see, they are stitched on. This jersey retailed, I should say, in the past tense for $240. This jersey now, this is Brady Shea, probably not worth all that much, not a Ranger anymore, Nashville Predator now on his third team since then. And then for fun, hang on, I'll show you what an on-ice one looks like. So I got this off of a Facebook group that buys and sells Ranger jerseys, game-used jerseys. This is Keith Yandel, who was on the Rangers for 2 years. He was one of my favorite players. This is one of the cheaper game jerseys on the website. So some things about this to verify. Number one, it does not have a tag on the front. It does not have a perforation on the side. Neither does the Adidas 2.0 the Edge 2.0. If you are looking at this up front, you can tell. This looks a little bit different than the other blue jerseys I've held up. Number one, this is important whenever you're buying. It's got the tag. It's got a very different tag. First of all, it's got a barcode. That won't be on there when you buy it, but this tag is different from the one on the other ones. Number two, it does have a fight strap. That is important to note. That is why the fake jerseys that you will see out there in the wild often have fight straps on them to be able to for people to list them as one of these, a game jersey, or one of those, Edge 2.0, which is kind of scummy, for lack of a better word. It's unfortunate. It's unfair that people who don't really know what they're looking for are getting ripped off, that they're getting overcharged. And then real quick, I'll break out an Adidas jersey just so you can see the difference between Adidas and Reebok. So this is an Adidas Igor Shesterkin jersey. You see, the branding is on the tag. The crest is very different on the front. The NHL logo crest is its own plate as opposed to being part of the jersey itself. The letters, the stitching is very different. On the back, the stitching on the numbers and the letters is the same, pretty similar to Reebok. The big difference with Adidas is the bubbles. Everybody is familiar with these, the little divots, the dimples, whatever you want to call them. That's the big difference in the Adidas to the Reebok. You look at the name, these are supposed to be the same price point. These are supposed to fill the same space in the marketplace, that mid-tier expensive, but not the on-ice real jersey. This, the one in my left hand, the Shesterkin jersey, this is supposed to be a replica of what they wear on the ice. This, the Reebok Premier, this is supposed to be a replica of the replica. Being that this is so complicated, I could understand if you were a little bit confused right now, but frankly, it is confusing, and that's part of the ploy here. The reason that these jerseys aren't priced that far apart is to incentivize you to spend a little bit more on the more expensive one. And that's why you see a big difference in the quality of jerseys. I don't own any of the Fanatics jerseys that have been out there in circulation over the last handful of years because I just don't like them. They are not well made. The lettering and the numbers are ironed on as opposed to stitched on. So if you put them through the wash a couple times, the numbers, the letters, they'll start to fray. The material, it's thinner. It's not as thick. It's not as spry. It's not as flexible. And it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't look right. And I never begrudge anyone whatever they wear to a game. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, it's a fake jersey. I only care if it's a fake jersey if I'm looking at buying it. If I go on eBay, if I go on Mercari, if I go on Poshmark, if I go on any of those secondary sources for jerseys, that's the only thing I care about. I have fake jerseys in my closet. It's sometimes, if you can find the right fake jersey and it looks reasonable enough and it's not expensive, by all means, go nuts. It doesn't affect me. I care because I like my collection, but I haven't bought a fake jersey since I was in college and I had no money. That's the market for fake jerseys. Then you go a tier up, you can start collecting. I have a preposterous amount of jerseys. Just hockey alone, I think I'm close to 80. Overall sports, I'm well over 100 at this point. But as far as lasting takeaway, Fanatics having both jersey, having on ice and the retail jersey, that worries me slightly. And we're going to talk about why coming up in the next segment. So be sure to stick around. Thank you to everybody who is hanging out on this Thursday edition of Locked On NHL as we tackle the jersey conversation. So, number one, if you are listening on Apple or Spotify, you're not usually a YouTube listener, it would help you immensely to go and watch today's episode on YouTube, because I am holding up jerseys to the camera. I'm showing the details, the differences, so you get an understanding. Now, the official Fanatics jerseys are not in circulation yet. I saw at Fanatics Fest in New York 2 weeks ago, they had the jerseys for all 32 NHL teams. At 31, they didn't have the Utah team out yet, obviously. I don't know if anyone has seen that news, but they are not going to have Utah jerseys ready for retail sale, meaning fans won't be able to buy them till probably early next year, if not later than that. But Fanatics has a rough reputation, and I feel that some of it is deserved, that when you dominate the marketplace the way they are, you have to be as good as you possibly can, because if you're not, why are you dominating the marketplace? That's the entire idea of the free market, that if you're competitive, you will be rewarded. But if you have no competition, that's not really a free market. And having these exclusive deals for distribution and manufacturing in the case of baseball and in the case of hockey, that makes things more complicated. It makes it harder sometimes to get quality merchandise, to get better product. And as a jersey collector, I can definitively say I am weary. I am not a particularly big fan of Fanatics merchandise. Now, I do have t-shirts from the last 5-6 years because Fanatics is the manufacturer for most of the leagues. I went to WrestleMania. WWE is a Fanatics partner. I buy t-shirts from the NHL shop when players make an all-star game or the team makes the playoffs. Fanatics manufactures those. When Chase Elliott won at Talladega 3 years ago in the playoff, I bought a shirt. It was a Fanatics branded shirt. It is an inescapable reality in today's marketplace as a sports fan that if you want merchandise, you are almost certainly going to have to buy it from Fanatics. And now it does present an interesting conundrum if you're a jersey hobbyist. And I said this the other day on Twitter, but I'll say it again. I am waiting for that first manufacturer to really discount their remaining Adidas stock so I can clean up. When Reebok switched to Adidas in 2017, I bought 4 jerseys at the NHL store because they were selling them for $40 with customization. That 2.0, the Brady Shea 2.0, this one right here I'm pointing at if you're watching on YouTube, that retailed for $250. I got it for $80. The Reebok Premier was going for $40 at the NHL store in Manhattan. The NHL, the official Reebok store at the time when it was on like 49th and 5th, when it was right near Rockefeller Center and Radio City, it was $40 for a Reebok Premier. It was $80 for an Edge. It was a beautiful time to be a hockey fan. It was funny towards the end of the month of June and July when they started running out of certain letters and certain numbers of jerseys, and you just couldn't get certain players because they didn't have the letters and the numbers and the kit to put it together. So that is funny. But I am waiting for that first real wave of discounted Adidas jerseys because from what I have seen of the Fanatics jerseys, I put my hands to them on the mannequins at Fanatics Fest 2 weeks ago now, and I gave it a thorough rubbing, trying to get, all right, how thick is that? Is this flimsy? And none of the jerseys had numbers on them. I wanted them to look like the jerseys they were going to sell. I needed numbers. I needed patches. I needed to get a real feel for what they were going to look like because, and this is going to sound dumb and me being paranoid, but when you are dealing with a company that has a track record of quality control, you worry. And if people are going to be talking as much money as Fanatics is going to charge for these jerseys, if you're asking somebody to spend $230, $300, that's a lot of labor. If you don't make a lot of money, if you're making $15 an hour, $300 is a lot of money. And it's one of the many concerning trends within the sports space right now is that so much isn't tailored to every fan. I've put together the vast majority of my jersey collection from secondary sources, whether it's eBay, whether it's Poshmark, whether it's Facebook Marketplace. I have been able to find real jerseys that are $40, $50. In my entire collection, I have only paid retail price for maybe 4 or 5 jerseys. I got myself an Adam Fox jersey for my birthday, his rookie year in the NHL. I got a Shesterkin jersey at Madison Square Garden after a couple of adult beverages because I was so excited during his rookie campaign. the Brady Shea jersey behind me was not retail, excuse me. The Connor McDavid Team North America jersey you typically see behind me when I'm recording an episode, that I paid retail price for. But hockey jerseys, if you hunt and you spend the time, you can find good deals. I've been trying to find a vintage Oilers jersey, someone like Taylor Hall, someone like Jordan Eberle, maybe Oscar Klefbom, because I got to expand my collection. If I'm doing Locked On Oilers full time, I got to represent, and I do need more Oilers stuff. But unfortunately, if I want it, it's going to be Fanatics branded stuff, which is unfortunate, but nevertheless, jerseys are very fun. It's a great hobby. It's got a very vibrant but passionate community. And if you are a hockey fan, that's one of those great feelings. When you break out that brand new sweater, you pull it over a hoodie, you're going to the game, you got that New Jersey feeling. It's a really nice, it's one of those little things. It's one of those little sensations in life that's, I'm going to be all right. Things might be difficult, things might be frustrating, but I got this New Jersey. I'm going to watch my favorite team. This shows how much I care about my favorite team. It's one of those things as a sports fan, saving up that money to put together to buy a jersey. I still have the first jersey I bought with my own money. It was a Luke Kuechly Carolina Panthers jersey that I'm pretty sure is a knockoff, but not real. But I got it when I was like 14, so I couldn't really tell the difference. And it was $40, so I didn't really care. And I still can squeeze into it. It's a little tight on the shoulders, me and my big frame, a little hulking, little tough, but it's fun. Jersey collecting is a great hobby. It's got a great community. I, for one, am hopeful that everybody gets that feeling. And everyone's hobbies are different. And if you're in hockey, you probably are in on something, whether it's hockey cards, whether it's content, whether you're a podcast consumer, if you're an article reader, if you collect hats, you collect jerseys, if you collect mini sticks, autographed helmets, that's one of the things about fandom in today's world that's both great and bad. The great thing is you have a million options. There could not be more ways to express your fandom than there are now. The bad side of that is it's very expensive to get a lot of things. And the parting shot I want to leave you with is this. No matter how many jerseys you own, how many hats you own, nobody is allowed to tell you how much you care about your favorite team. Nobody is allowed to say you're a bad fan. Nobody's allowed to say you're a fake fan because you have a Fanatics jersey, if you have a Reebok, if you have a knockoff. No one is allowed to call you a bad fan for that. If they're doing that, they are the bad fan. Being a sports fan is about community. It is about banding together in the common interest of hopefully seeing your favorite team win a game. That will do it for today's edition of Locked On Oilers. So if you could be so kind, please subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. If you are watching over on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the alarm bell. Let me know, bullish or bearish on the Fanatics prospect, the Fanatics jersey experience. And if you could be so kind, I have one more request. Please go check out the Locked On NHL show, where the season never ends and provides national expertise with a local perspective. You can find the link to Locked On NHL in the description, so you don't need to search. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I will not be putting out an episode on Friday. I am going away for the weekend. I will be back. There will most likely be a show on Monday, but later in the day, and we'll be back to normal on Tuesday. I will talk to you guys on Monday. Enjoy the weekend. Be safe. Drink some water. See you guys soon.